Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. With the new year underway, I wanted to speak on what will be my most anticipated game of 2023. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, helps spread the video along the algorithm. And when you subscribe to the channel, brings more viewers in to help discuss in our community we're building and all that jazz. And make sure hit that notification bell, stay updated on future content I release on my schedule. So, and if you're watching this video, I really appreciate you. Thank you. And yeah, let's get into it. So that game that I will be talking about today is going to be SpiderMan 2. It's got a release date of fall of 2023, which is of course this year. And I wanted to go ahead and make a video on the biggest question I have with the game due to us not having another trailer, more gameplay, just kind of what they've talked about. And that is, will this game be single player or co-op, or will it be single player, but it's more a co-op experience? Now, this question comes from a trailer from the only trailer we have about the game, which, of course, this is just going to be general speculation, as this could be not, I mean, we'll figure this out as there is rumors and stuff building that they're going to show something soon. So, of course, we will figure that out when all that is released. But this is just a speculation video. I like to think about what the game could be, what the future looks like. So this game is, of course, the sequel to the 2018 Spider-Man PS4. And that, of course, introduced us to a more experienced Peter as Spider-Man. Of course, he's about 23 years old. He's been Spider-Man since he was 15, general knowledge if you're a Spider-Man fan. And it allowed us to play with more gadgets. He had fun combos and more combat experience to create great finishers. And, of course, the gadgets that you can use to defeat enemies, to even do stealth. I mean, you can go on YouTube, Twitter, wherever, and you'll see all these different kind of combat videos that are stealth, action, what you name it. People have done it. And of course, we then had the PS5 Miles Morales game that was a launch title. And these two games introduced us to the characters and allowed us to get to know them better with their different spider abilities and gadgets, of course. Peter is more of a gadget person, while Miles has, his camouflage and his shock ability that he uses in the game and in the comics. And even if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, it's very popular in the movie. And so it was very fun, different gameplay style that could be introduced in this game, as, you could have Peter, who you to play with the gadgets and play around with all that. Of course, they'll probably introduce new ones with the game. And then Miles, we'll see, maybe, hopefully, he's developed his abilities better. He is able to control it better. Maybe camo is a little more interesting, as maybe he can control it for longer times, or he can use it to a better advantage than he could in the original game we got. So, of course, without the lack of gameplay and just trailers, which is weird, it's, this is one of PlayStation's most anticipated titles for 2023, as on PlayStation Blog, that was the first game they talked about. And it's just very interesting to see how there's no gameplay, no trailers. It's like we've been kind of scarce. All we've gotten is a Twitter reply and Twitter teasers that I talked about in my previous Spider-Man video. But this game and an article kind of heavily implies that there might be a co-op system. To quote the PlayStation article, it says, Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. The Spider duo of Peter Parker and Miles Morales are back in the new blockbuster action chapter of the Marvel Spider-Man series. So, of course, this is very easily like, oh, you're just looking into it. Like, how would you know? I mean, and this is where it comes from speculation. This game is going to have two ways, I think, gameplay. It's either going to take a GTA 5 approach and have missions tailored to Peter and Miles, and have general missions that are up to the player's choice who they want to play as in these main story missions. And, that would be an interesting take. You could have Peter, who has more of like they reinvigorate kind of like a scientific-y mission. That is like what you did in the PS4 version, where instead of the Oscorp little buildings you had to do for your friend Harry, maybe you're doing your own research that pertains to the story, but as a side quest that's optional, that might just make the story a little more beefier. And as Miles, you could have more of those, they introduced, they introduced, him discovering him and his Uncle Aaron, or I'm sorry, his dad and Uncle Aaron's mixtape stuff that put together a whole song. Maybe they'll introduce more stuff with that. Maybe they'll expand into the Spider-Verse, kind of area where he's really into art and painting and stuff. We may see that. Now, of course, the player could choose who they traverse the world with and fight crime, is what I mean by these kind of general missions, which is something you saw in both Spider-Man games. Now, they could also do a gameplay feature where they utilize the day and night cycle like they did in the original game. Now, if you remember in the PS4 and even Miles Morales, they tailored the time of day and even the days to kind of coexist with the story. Like it made the story make kind of a realistic sense of daytime passage, I guess. Now they could utilize this in this game, which they most likely will, where maybe during certain time periods you cannot play as Miles due to him being in school. Because if you remember, the Miles Morales game takes place during Christmas, and of course he wears his school's t-shirt. Or for Peter, it would be due to him maybe helping run feast, since if you spoiler for the first one, his aunt is out of the picture. She game, and maybe he feels obligated to help run that place. Or just work in general. In the Miles Morales game, he went on a Daily Bugle trip with Mary Jane, so maybe he's back working with them doing photography a little bit. Or maybe he has another job that keeps him busy. They kind of toyed around with that in the PS4 version with him working with Otto, by him having to miss work sometimes because he has to be Spider-Man, or he's late to work, or he goes into work right after. So, but this could be very wrong because I'm sure a trailer will show us that. But this could be a way to give the player a chance to play as both Spider-Man without having them feel like they've missed out on any dialogue or gameplay differences with Peter and Miles. You kind of get the full experience. Now, granted, that would take away multiple playthroughs if you're just playing the game, you're not a huge Spider-Man fan. But it would help kind of give the player the ease of mind. Okay, I'm not missing out because I'm not playing as Peter in this mission, or I'm not playing as Miles. So, but we'll have to find out. Now, the other option would be having a tailored co-op version that you can play with as a friend, and that you both choose who you want to play as. And that's how the game continues. This would be fun as going through the story with a friend and being able to time combos with each other, and even doing combo takedowns that utilize both characters, and also using the gadgets to help spice up the gameplay through each other would be a fun addition to the gameplay. I mean, could you imagine that? Communicating with your friend to time combos and even gadgetry and stuff to help mix up the combat. But of course, this will risk them having to fine-tune the partner AI to work well while you're doing combat, or even having to find a way to tell the intimate story these games like to tell with the co-op feature involved. You'd have to find a way to tell this story without having to finding a way to keep both players involved, even if they're not playing as Peter and Miles in one section. That's a difficult thing. Also, AI is a hard thing because as game development continues, you have to make the AI more perfect. It's just, it's how it is this day and age. It's something that it's required. If not, it's going to hurt your game. So, we'll have to see what they do. But also you would have to build these levels differently than you have in the previous two games. You can't have these like smaller areas that were in the game and then have these massive big areas. You'd have to perfectly find the mix between those two, because both games introduced huge play areas and also small play areas. And you'd have to fine-tune that, and of course you'd have to fine-tune the enemy type and the enemy wave cycle that you'd have in the strongholds. I'm sure they're going to bring back in this game. You'd have to fine-tune that to give a great balanced experience to where the players can play together and not feel like, oh my god, why is this so hard? It's not, because they're not going to go on Marvel's Avengers or a Gotham Knights where you have to be a certain level. You can go through the game how you choose because it's a story game. So, they'd have to fine-tune that to where the players aren't necessarily getting frustrated due to the game being a little too hard than it should be. Maybe if you're on a difficulty that you're not wanting, like easy, if it's more of a normal difficulty, maybe players would get tuned out by that. But, of course, that goes with QA testing and getting those game testers to really iron those features out and help the development studio be able to get the game perfect for release. So the co-op, though, would be fun due to how these games would be fun to tackle with another player with all the fun combat stuff you do. I mean, think of all the videos of combos and all that. How fun would that be playing with your friend and timing that, like I said? But, of course, what do I think they'll do? I personally think, due to these games already being single-player games, they're going to keep the single-player format. You're going to play in a single-player story. You're not going to have the co-op feature due to it just being big overhaul of what they've already established, and also just due to the fact that they are very keen on keeping single-player. As single-player stories do tell tales better. You don't have to worry about that input. So I think that they're going to do a GTA-style approach with their own mix, of course. I think you'll have certain moments where you'll play as Peter, you'll play as Miles, and then for traversal and main gameplay, you're probably going to be able to choose between them just because they're two different Spider-Man. Peter's the gadget guy, and Miles is more of he has attributes that help him differentiate himself as Spider-Man. So I think that, these crime missions will be fun to play as either, but I also think due to this new introduced Venom storyline, we're probably going to have a symbiote saga, most likely. They've teased it already with Peter, and they'll utilize Miles more. So you will probably get I'm hoping, this is one of my speculations, I hope they do. I hope they have a school part of the game where you might have a fight between Peter when he's gone too far, and you've got to stop him. And this is the clash between the two Spider-Man, because what they've built up in the previous games is that Miles trusts Peter with his life and as a friend. I can't wait to see how they're going to test that and maybe tarnish some of those relationship features due to Peter getting the symbiote and becoming a different person, because that is beautiful in the Spider-Man Saga series. You have this beautiful villain introduced that will also shake up the characters. I mean, it would be interesting to see how Miles will become his own Spider-Man, more developed than he did in the end of Miles Morales, due to Peter not being the ally he can trust for a little bit, due to this alien symbiote that is on him. And it's going to be interesting to see how they introduce maybe Eddie Brock, or maybe, as we know, Harry has the symbiote at the end of Spider-Man 1. It'll be interesting to see how they definitely combine the game play elements of the last game into this. Like, because will Harry be the Venom? Will the Venom be Eddie Brock by the time Peter separates, if he does in this game, and becomes Peter Parker again? So again, it'll be very interesting to see where they go with this, because the sky's the limit. Insomniac has proven time and time again that they are a great studio, and as of right now, they can't do wrong. They haven't shown us anything that is terrible. And it'll be very fun to see how they continue this trend with, of course, the Wolverine game. They're a busy studio. They're one of PlayStation's busiest studios. They are. They have made 2 games in the newest generation, and that's more than most studios. I mean, Guerrilla, who makes Horizon Zero Dawn, they only made 1 game. And other studios have done the same as well. So, I'm hoping, of course, we get more games from other studios, but it's just proof that Insomniac stays on the grind, and they put out great games. So it's going to be very fun to see how they continue this trend of well-built games, and also this story. I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite character of all time, and I'm excited to see where they go with this. Of course, I will be covering the game as trailers and stuff come out, talking about story beats. We'll have more speculation as we get more story ideas, or when the trailers come out. So it'll be a very fun time. Of course, that'll be that. And, that's all I've got for y'all today. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe, as it helps me grow the channel and bring in more people to discuss the future game topics. And don't forget to like and hit the notification bell to know when I upload next. This channel's growing, and it's great, and I'm really excited for the future of this channel, and you guys are just showing out, and I really appreciate y'all watching my videos, and I thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch my stuff, because I know that there's other people who maybe have a better mic setup, better camera, and may have more time on their hands. But I really appreciate y'all, because this is my dream, is to be able to cover games like this in full time and giving you guys more content as time goes on. So again, thank you for watching, and stick around. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.